Hey there, this is Darren. Who is your hero's hero? Who is the person who inspired the person who you look up to? Who inspired the person who inspires you? Think about it. It's kind of a deep question. You know, we think about our heroes, but who did they gain inspiration from that they're now passing on to us? So I'm doing this late tonight because I was hoping that I could actually get Rudy. Eden Capsuto, welcome. I was really hoping that I could actually get Rudy on camera, but that didn't happen. So on my desk, hey there, Randy Penn. On my desk, I have this picture of Rudy, the actual picture of when it happened. When he got carried off the field and he had signed it for me. That was kind of cool. But tonight he was at my church. Hey, Andrew. Tonight he was at my church and he was super inspiring and so funny. It was really cool. So I'm hoping that I can post that as well, the actual program. But I was hoping to capture him and get some words of inspiration. But if you're a Tony Robbins fan, you got to know that Jim Rohn was his mentor, the person who helped him and inspired him. The Jim McHugh, a comedy legend, is on. That's cool. So just got to spend time with Rudy Ruettiger from the movie fame, and it was so cool hearing his story and how he was saying that he wanted to give up every day. And when I got to meet him about 5 years ago and have dinner with him, one of the things that I was so inspired by was the fact that he actually had the movie made. He had worked for an insurance company and they had a motivational speaker come in, and he said, he walked up to the guy and said, "I want to do what you do." And the guy turned back to him and said, "Well, why should anyone listen to you? What have you done?" And that got him to thinking about his story. And he thought, well, you know, I graduated from Notre Dame, but so haven't thousands of people. But when he thought about his real story, he literally was inspired by Sylvester Stallone when he made the movie Rocky. And the fact that he wrote it himself in 3 days. Well, Rudy wasn't a writer, but he did literally track down the person who wrote Hoosiers. And he kind of told me the backstory that he kind of stalked him and would not take no for an answer until he literally committed to writing the script for Rudy. And then he had to go around and sell it. There was really cool, interesting backstory too, that Notre Dame did not want to do another football movie. And Rudy actually did some research himself and found out that the Notre Dame campus actually burned down a couple years after they had built it. And normal Catholic superstition would have thought that, you know, God was mad at us, and so we shouldn't have a campus. But instead, the founders of Notre Dame said God was mad at us. We didn't build it big enough. And so as a result, then they rebuilt Notre Dame bigger, faster, stronger, if you will. But what was just so cool, hey Sandra, was just knowing the story and the struggle behind it. It took him 10 years to create the movie. And tonight he was just telling us that in grade school, Rudy was asked who was the fifth president. And he couldn't even answer that. And he told us a story that in 1993, he was actually invited to the White House to watch the movie Rudy with the president before it even came out. And he said, so I was looking on the wall and I figured out who the fifth president was just in case they were going to ask. But it was just fascinating listening to him and hearing him. Hey, Tanya. So who is your hero's hero? If you know Tony Robbins, again, Jim Rohn was his hero. Rudy, again, his hero was Sylvester Stallone creating the movie. So who's your hero's hero? Do you ever think about that? Maybe do a little research, or if you can, ask your mentor or your hero who inspired them. It's probably been a real cool and insightful conversation. So I do hope that you try to figure that out. Who's your hero's hero? Who inspired the person who inspires you? Something to think about, but I bet if you take the time to find out, you'll get even more inspiration from that research. So who is your hero's hero?